hands raised. I don't know who it was the first one. अच्छा प्रकृति ने तो बंद कर दिया. One second, let me come on the gallery view so that I can see you all. Okay, who else? Tejshri ne bhi band kar diya. Okay. Okay, then over to you, Jagriti. If both of them have put it down. Second. You are on phone. Can you read? Will you be able to read? Okay, unmute yourself. I've given you this access. अच्छा प्रकृति ने तो बंद कर दिया. Every day this happens. So I'm sharing the screen and pinning you, Jagriti. Yeah. I've marked, I think we were here somewhere.
Okay.
We go a little behind and start from here. Everyone has experienced.
Okay. Everyone has experienced this deep feeling and desire to create something marvelous in the world that's out of pure inspiration and not desperation. Before moving on to the next paragraph, I encourage you to test this theory. Pause here and spend a few minutes thinking about times in your life where you felt an overwhelming feeling and desire to create something magnificent because you felt deeply inspired and called to. It doesn't matter if you actually create it or not, but just think of a time where you felt this feeling to create out of inspiration. Isn't that just one of the most amazing feelings in this entire world? Most of us feel this divine inspiration, but then suppress it as soon as we begin thinking about doing it. We begin to think ourselves into doubt, rationalize why we can't do it, tell ourselves that it is unrealistic, how we should focus on more important things, and that we are not good enough to do it. As soon as we begin to think about the thought of us wanting to create, it completely shuts off the source of that inspiration, and we go back to living life as usual. When we cut off that source, we also cut off the feeling of abundance, exuberance, ecstasy, joy, pure unconditional love, and go back to the feeling of doubt, anxiety, frustration, sadness, and feel confined, stuck, and frustrated with our lives. We can only even follow one calling at a time, either inspiration or desperation in the present moment. The two cannot coexist at the same time, but we can fluctuate between the two depending on how much thinking is going on. When we stop thinking, we don't stop having goals and dreams. We actually fall back into our true nature and begin to create goals and dreams out of inspiration versus desperation. We begin to allow thoughts from the universe to come into our mind that leads us to divine inspiration to create something that has never been created before in the world. When we follow divine inspiration, we feel alive, whole, joy, peace, and fulfillment. So, how can we tell when a goal or dream is created out of inspiration or desperation? A simple way to know if a goal or dream is created out of inspiration is to remember the distinction between the thoughts and thinking. Goals and dreams that comes in the form of thought are created out of inspiration, and goals and dreams that comes from thinking are created out of desperation. Typically, when we think, we analyze, judge, criticize, rationalize, and use our past to try to create our new goals. But this form of creating goals feels extremely restricting and limiting. We don't typically feel good when creating these type of goals. And when we are pursuing them, we do not feel great either. since it's all out of desperation. Another way to identify the two is to sense how you feel energetically. Goals and dreams created out of desperation will feel very heavy, draining, confining, and empty. We tend to feel a lot of scarcity, fear, and stress, like we have to do it or that we are not obligated to. With these types of goals, it seems like if we do not accomplish it, that there will be dire consequences. Hence, the high pressure and stakes. I'm sure you can see now how can create the feeling of desperation. Moreover, we feel like we are trying to accomplish these goals to escape our current situation and get out of something. Our goals created in this state are typically means goals, meaning that we want to achieve these goals so that we can do something else afterwards, such as having the goal to quit our job. Most likely, you will have this goal because you want to go to something you actually enjoy. But you can see how the goal of quitting your job is just a mean goal for you to go to something else. Or having a goal of making 1 million is typically set because you want to have financial freedom and go travel the world. These goals are always a means to an end and not the end itself. There's always a reason that we want to accomplish these goals, and it makes us feel very empty inside. I want to emphasize that none of these goals are inherently bad, or that we shouldn't have goals of wanting to make money or quitting our jobs. If those goals are created for inspiration, that is completely different. It just depends on the source of the goals and not necessarily the goal itself. This is an important distinction to make. Otherwise, you will spend most of your time debating and stressing yourself out over if this is the right goal for you or not. There is no right or wrong goal, only goals created from inspiration or desperation. It just depends on how you want to feel inside when you are aware of these two types of goals and how they manifest. Then you will be able to feel blissful as you go about creating amazing things in your life. On the other hand, goals and dreams created out of inspiration, which comes from thought, feel very feel very light, energizing, uplifting, and expansive. We tend to feel excited, joyful, and most importantly, inspired. We don't feel like we have to create it, but that we want to do. Instead of feeling like you need to do this, you feel inspired to. There is virtually no pressure because we are not trying to get out of something or escape our current situation by accomplishing this goal. There is no scarcity or urgency because we don't feel like we are creating from a place of lack, but instead from a place of abundance, and we just want to share it with the world. Since it's coming from the inspiration, we are not doing it to get something out of it so that we can do something else. It's not a mean goal, but simply an end in and of itself. There is no reason we need to create it. We are not creating so that we can feel whole, but we are creating because we feel whole and want to give from that place, not expecting anything from it. I am sure you can see the stark difference between the two now, and that you can tell which type your goals currently fall under. If most of your goals fall under the category of desperation, don't worry, because most people have goals created from desperation, including myself, before I knew a better way. So, how do we create goals and dreams out of inspiration versus desperation? Creating goals and dreams from divine inspiration, isn't it something you have to try to do? We naturally have thoughts of infinite inspiration all the time. If you look at children, they naturally have the wildest dreams and imaginations of what they want to do. It almost doesn't even register in their mind that they can't do something most of the time. The only difference between us and children is that we have learned to shut down all these thoughts of inspiration, which contains our dreams, hopes, and goals that we truly wanted to see manifest in this world. Our minds are filled more with reason of why we can't than thought of what we want to create. We innately have an infinite flow of inspiration that comes through us. But we block that flow as soon as we begin thinking about the thoughts we have, which causes self doubt, self sabotage, and anxiety. Think of the flow of inspiration to create like a river. The river always flows until man puts something there there to block it, like a dam. Then, when the dam is there, we ask why there are so many fish dying, animals disappearing, and forests dwindling, when all we need to do was return the river back to its natural state and everything will be working perfectly fine, the way nature intended it to. This is the same for our mind and our goals. We always dream, have big goals, and know what to do at all times when we are trapped into our inner wisdom and inner intelligence, free from thinking. If we simply do not think about our thoughts, any sort of thought about dreams, goals, and desires that naturally arise are all from the divine, and that is how you create your goals out of inspiration versus desperation. A question that greatly helps me to settle the thinking and tap into the limitless well of possibilities of what I could create it. If I had infinite money, already traveled the world, had no fear, and didn't receive any recognition for what I do, what would I do or what would I create? Whenever we ask questions, answers always arise. It is impossible for our brains to hear a question and not come up with a response. So when you ask yourself this question, whatever begins to come up for you without any manual thinking will be from the divine and from inspiration versus desperation. The way the question is worded is extremely important because it removes most of the thinking, fear, criticism, and external reasons of why you would want to do something. So it focuses your answer on what you truly want to create. Usually, it's for no reason other than you just wanting to create it because it's a fun, without any influences from the material world. Try asking the question and seeing what comes up for you. You will be surprised at what surfaces, but don't get caught up and your thinking when those true dreams of yours begin to be revealed to you. To a mind without the limit of thinking, anything is possible.
Let's repeat the last paragraph again. I am just going back. The question that greatly helps. यहाँ से शुरू करो. एक बार और करते हैं.
A question that greatly helps me to settle the thinking and tap into the limitless ways well of possibility of what I could create it. If I had infinite money, already traveled the world, had no fear, and didn't receive any recognition for what I do, what would I do or what would I create? Whenever we ask questions, answer always arise. It is impossible for our brain to hear a question and not come up with a response. So when you ask yourself this question, whatever begins to come up for you without any manual thinking will be from the divine and from inspiration versus desperation. The way the question is worded is extremely important because it removes most of the thinking, fear, criticism, and external reason of why you want to do something. So it focuses your answer on what you truly want to create. Usually, it's for no reason other than you just wanting to create it because it's fun without any influences from the material world. Try asking the question and seeing what comes up to you for you. You will be surprised at what surfaces, but don't get caught up with your thinking when those true dreams of yours begins to be revealed to you. To a mind without the limits of thinking, anything is possible.
Amazing, amazing. Beautiful. Any takeaways? Any discussions? Yeah, Rashmi. Unmute.
Hi, another extremely beautiful chapter. What my learning out of it is, again, my mind goes into logical thinking only. I don't know why. I think I'm still not in that space of inspirational thinking. What I could make out is that, this goal that the author is talking about should be a main goal. And we are practical people, right? So we want some tangible goals as well. So what now I feel is that we've done many goal setting exercises before, right? So I feel that those goals are the subsets of the main goal. So when we think that I want a goal which is truly inspirational, which does not have any tangible benefits, I can think of couple of goals. But for that, I need to think of small goals which will help me go there. So I somehow feel that that is a motivating factor. So it could be finances, health, relationships, all those are there, but all that is so that I can fulfill my bigger purpose of maybe helping people or, being a better version of myself. So these goals actually help me attain the big inspirational goal. So now I feel I'll be more motivated to fulfill these smaller tangible goals as a way of reaching my main goal, which does not really have any purpose, which I can do for free, which I can do for years together. So that's what I felt after reading this chapter.
Interesting perspective. Could you read the last chapter, yesterday's?
No, I couldn't.
You were not there?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. So since you were not there, they are talking about two types of goals. It's not about a main goal and a smaller goal.
Okay.
What the author is trying to say is there are two types of goals. One is you need to do certain things. One is that comes from need. Another comes from want.
Okay.
Same analogy of one comes from thought and one comes from thinking. So the one that comes from thought is inspired, like you're channeling actually. What we talk about channeling, when you are in a state of flow, when you are in a state where it is not have to, it is not I need to earn this much money, I need to have a relationship, but I want to for the fun of it. I want to do that for the experience of it. Yeah, and the other is the inspired, which is the fun of it or the experience of it, or the as you mentioned, the purpose of life and the purpose of it. So yeah, in a way you can say that the tangible goals are the ones which are from desperation, and the one which is, you know, which is our intangible goal, which is not about. So let me tell you, let me put it a little different way. Even the tangible goal can be an inspirational goal. Why? Because I want to earn 1 million rupees, but my thought process behind it, because I want to open old age homes.
True, true.
Because I want to maybe, you know, open an NGO, or maybe serve the poor, or maybe do something else. It's not always that tangible. You know, वो बोलते हैं ना कि spirituality is the richest cult. You know, the culture, the spiritual people are the richest. Because अगर उनके पास riches नहीं होंगे, then how will they be able to serve?
True. We can actually
Yeah.
marry both of them. Matlab,
Yeah.
we can also think of an option where we can actually cumulatively दोनों को साथ में सोच के we can make like an even more beautiful goal, which I think traditionally we haven't. अभी तक goal setting ये वाला aspect हमने सोचा ही नहीं है कभी.
Exactly. Like the example I gave the community the first day, I think कल या परसों जब हमने goal setting पे काम किया था, was everybody wants to have a Ferrari or a good you know, place to live in, or a mansion or something. But it is not about the goal of owning a Ferrari or owning a mansion or owning that thing. It is about the experience that you will get. It is about the end result that you will get, and that result is connected to your inspiration.
True.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing and picking up this takeaway. Anyone else wants to put any light on whatever we've discussed? Any other takeaways? You all can unmute. You have the access now. Tetri. Tetri, boliye. Yes.
Ma'am, with a desperation of reaching the goal, we are beating ourselves to achieve the goal. So the author has mentioned the fear, criticism, and external materialistic world. Just to impress them, we are trying to beat ourselves and achieve the goal. So we need to stop it, and then we have to put our goals in a proper wording so that we don't think more or stress more about the goals. So that's what I have understood.
Yes, the tangible things, the money, the
Yeah.
recognition. So that's why I asked you all to read the last wordings again, because that question is very important. The question that he's asked is very, very important.
So putting thoughts in a right way is very important for achieving the goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else, or should we go ahead? All right, let's go ahead with journaling. I request you all to take out your journals. And let us see what is